Most of us see the world as just a little bit brighter than it actually is. We think we're a bit more skilled and our goals a bit more achievable than the data would probably suggest. Now, this isn't just wishful thinking, it's a really powerful cognitive force called the optimistic bias. And believe me, it shapes some of the biggest decisions we ever make. So let's dive into this paradox. This quote actually comes from a story about this charming young couple who poured their life savings into buying a motel on Vancouver Island. And it really sets up a fascinating puzzle, doesn't it? The couple they knew that 6 or 7 other people had failed in that exact same spot, but they just believed they were different. This is the optimistic bias right out there in the wild. So let's put an official name to it, the optimistic bias. It's this fundamental, almost universal human tendency. And it's not just a personality trait, it's a cognitive bias that makes us seriously exaggerate our ability to forecast the future. And as we're about to see, this bias can be both our greatest asset and our most dangerous blind spot. First things first, let's look at the good stuff. Because make no mistake, optimism is a powerful and incredibly beneficial human trait. You could say it's the engine that pushes us all forward. There's this saying, if you were allowed one wish for your child, seriously consider wishing him or her optimism. It's a pretty bold statement, isn't it? But you know what? The research totally backs this up. An optimistic attitude is largely inherited, and it's a core part of our well-being. It's a genuine gift with profound, tangible benefits. And I mean, those benefits are very real. From being more popular to having a stronger immune system, optimists are just more resilient, both psychologically and physically. They bounce back from setbacks, and they're even more likely to live longer. So this isn't just about feeling good, it's about being healthier and having the guts to take on the challenges that actually lead to growth. And this really illustrates the impact on a much grander scale. Optimism isn't just good for you as an individual, it's good for all of us. The people who really shape our world, the ones starting businesses, creating new technologies, and leading nations, well, they are disproportionately optimistic. They are the ones who seek out challenges and take the risks that drive society forward. But there's a sharp pivot coming here. For all its incredible benefits, that same engine of progress can drive us straight off of a cliff. It can turn that wonderful optimism into a dangerous delusion. Just take a look at that number. A full 81% of entrepreneurs believe their chance of succeeding is 70% or better. And get this, a third of them believe their chance of failing is 0. I mean, that is an absolutely extraordinary level of self-belief. And then, here's the brutal reality check. Just 35%. The massive gap between that 81% confidence and this 35% reality, well, that's where the danger lies. This isn't just prudence we're talking about. It's a delusion, and a very costly one at that. This breaks it down even further. Notice that entrepreneurs aren't just optimistic about themselves. They think any business like theirs has a 60% chance of success. That's nearly double the actual number. But when they focus on their own venture, that optimism goes into hyperdrive. This is exactly why people persist long after all the evidence says they should quit, often just doubling their losses in the process. So why does this happen? Well, this quote just gets right to the point. When a Disney chairman was asked why studios foolishly release these huge movies on the same weekend, pretty much ensuring some will fail, the answer was simple: hubris. Hubris. But it's a very specific kind of hubris, and it actually has a name. And that name is competition neglect. It's a classic cognitive error where we get so wrapped up in our own brilliant plan, our own great team, our own amazing product, that we completely forget one crucial thing. Our competitors are thinking the exact same way about their plans. We start to imagine a future where they barely even play a part. And look, it's not just entrepreneurs. This chart shows a study of chief financial officers at major corporations. They were asked to predict market returns within a range they were 80% confident about. Okay, so that means they only expected to be surprised about 20% of the time. The reality? They were surprised 67% of the time. They were wildly overconfident in their own expertise. And the stakes can get even higher. In medicine, one study found that doctors who were completely certain about a diagnosis for a patient in the ICU were, get this, actually wrong 40% of the time. This just goes to show you that overconfidence is a deep-seated human trait, affecting even the most experienced experts in the highest stakes fields. Okay, so if we're all wired for this dangerous overconfidence, what can we possibly do about it? Well, fortunately, there's a really elegant solution, a kind of cure for this delusion, and it's called the premortem.
The pre-mortem was developed by psychologist Gary Klein, and it's designed to do something very specific and very clever. It injects a dose of realism and critical thinking before a decision is finalized, all without killing the optimism and energy you need to actually see a project through.
So let's walk through how this works, because it's remarkably simple. Right before you commit to a big plan, the leader gets the team together and says something like, okay, everyone, imagine it's a year from now, we implemented the plan, and it was a complete and utter disaster. Then for about 10 minutes, everyone individually writes down why it failed, what went wrong. This simple act of imagining failure, it just opens up a completely different way of thinking.
The psychology behind why the pre-mortem works is so cool. For one, it shatters groupthink. All of a sudden, expressing doubt isn't a sign of being disloyal, it's the entire point of the exercise. You're actually being loyal by imagining failure. It gives knowledgeable people permission to use their imagination to spot threats that otherwise would have just stayed hidden under the surface.
So where does all this leave us? We've seen that optimism is both this vital engine for progress and, at the same time, a dangerous delusion. The key, it seems, is to reframe our relationship with it. And really, this is the ultimate takeaway. You don't want to kill your optimism. You absolutely need that resilience, that energy. The goal is to tame it. Use its power to drive you forward, but protect yourself from its blind spots by building in doubt with tools just like the pre-mortem. This phrase just captures the ideal balance perfectly. Be bold in your vision. Be optimistic about what you can achieve, for sure. But be timid and cautious in your decision-making process. Question every single assumption. Imagine every possible failure. Basically, vet your plan with a healthy dose of reality before you commit. And that, of course, brings us to you. Think about your own big project, that important plan you have. Is it possible you're being a little overly optimistic? Are you maybe neglecting the competition? Just take a moment and ask yourself, if you ran a pre-mortem right now, what uncomfortable truths might you uncover?